Welcome to Bunch Formation, the newest college football podcast. My name is Chris Vanini. His name is David Ubben. We got a short mini episode for you here. Dynasty Mode in College Football 26. The reveal is out. The deep dive is out. So we just wanted to do a short episode this week to talk about that part of the game. It's my favorite part of the game. Not sure about David, but we'll be here for maybe 20 minutes or so. Not a ton else going on in college football. Wanted to get something out real quick. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Bunchformationpod@gmail.com for any feedback. Subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends. Leave us a 5-star review. We'll get to those in a future episode. Again, this is just kind of a quick spur-of-the-moment type of one. Dave, what's going on, man? I'm excited for this.
Not much. I'm feeling better than Thomas Castellanos today. Not quite as spicy, but yeah, it's video game season. We're like inching in here. So my birthday is July 11th, and I forgot because last year, the game's coming back. I'm getting old. I forgot that the game and my birthday are like in tandem, and it's a great time of year, Chris. It's a great time of year.
Yeah, July 10th is the official date. I think July 7th is the early play for that. We will have a full review of the test version of the game when we get that. This is just our talk about playing Dynasty. You and I have both played it. The beta mode, which was not finalized, so that things we say or things we experienced are probably not going to be the full thing. For example, I went 5-7 with North Texas and got the Arizona State job. I think that was just because it was an old version of the game. But let's go there. Dynasty, like first year college football 25, it was good.
Good enough.
Good enough for a first time back, but not very deep. Not a lot of not a lot of stuff you could dig into. Recruiting was pretty basic, but we got a whole list of stuff. EA Sports put out 76 pages, 13,000 words. We'll link to that whole blog in the show notes if you want to read the whole thing. We're going to go over the biggest parts of it. But in terms of experiences, we've got trophy room now. We've got real coaches now, head coaches, assistant coaches. We've got protected schedules and stuff like that. Dave, we'll start there. Just kind of experience-wise, what are some of the things you were able to play with and that you liked?
I mean, the immediate one that people are going to notice 5 minutes after they start is the coach gear. Can we stop using the term drip for middle-aged men that are generally, not the most fit dudes in the planet? Ultimately, a ton of coach gear. Last year, good enough. I'm not going to complain.
There was nothing last year. I even went back into 25 to check. Yeah.
It was 2 options. It was rough. Again, not the end of the world. I don't want to be here complaining. I was glad the game came back. But if I was ranking the things where I was like, really? That was near the top of the list. Now you got like 30 different options. I think you could still be a little bit more customizable, but great, a lot more diversity in what you can wear. A lot of stuff that you would see coaches wear. I probably will be rocking the tie just because. But in my dynasty, I was doing like the hoodie, kind of like not the Belichick hoodie, but like the hoodie jacket combo. And I was started at Arizona State, and my first 3 games rained, so I was like, well, we got to fix this.
Yeah, so that was something that happened I think it was a beta thing. A lot of our dynasty games were in the rain. I think that's just kind of where it was. But coach gear, you've got a bunch of different kinds of hoodies. You've got a sleeveless shirt. You've got a lot of different quarter zips. You've got shorts. I think you have different kinds of pants.
Does any coach in the country wear short? I feel like one coach did that one time, but I don't remember who it was.
I don't think so. But now you can.
Now you can. No coach wears shorts habitually. I can tell.
I created Biff Poggi, at Charlotte, sleeveless. He might have worn shorts now that I think about it, actually. I'm not sure. It's possible. But first off, yes, if you're going to create the coach, you can do a lot more with them. Big fan. Like that. Real coaches. So real coaches weren't in the beta that we tested. They were still the old coaches from 25. But I experienced I saw some of the new coaches when I was down in Orlando in May to go over it. Didn't see Belichick, didn't see Dion. Not surprised by either of those. Belichick wasn't in Madden back in the day, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't lock on. They said more than 300 head coaches and coordinators, which is cool. if I heard a Georgia fan tell me he wants to start a dynasty and fire Mike Bobo, you can do that with your real coordinators now. But an interesting part is that with the archetypes now, your coordinators are going to matter more.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be harder to become a well-rounded head coach with the different skills. It's cheaper to build up what you already have. So you'll really want coordinators that can kind of complement you in that way. The coaching carousel was pretty cool too. It's a lot more active.
I'd like to see that. I think people are not talking enough about how much the real coaches are going to affect the game and just the perception of the game. People forget we literally never had this in the history of any college football video game. Nope. So one, that's very cool. And I know a lot of these coaches, there's a lot of 30-something coaches out there, coordinators, head coaches. I know they're quietly like very excited to be in the game. That's pretty cool. I think there's going to be a lot of coaches that grew up playing the game. They're going to be excited to be in the game. But ultimately, if you win a big game or you have a big play, seeing a dejected Ryan Day on the other sideline or, a breaking another coach's heart who you hate, I think is going to add something for users. And if you are playing a game that's online and you're a fan of that team, seeing your coach like fist pump after you made a good play call and, broke a tackle. And I think just in terms of realism, immersion, I think that's going to add more to the game than people think. And then also when you start looking around at everything else that happens in college football, well, you'd see like a coach got fired or a coach did this or the best coach, the top coach, coach of the year rankings didn't really mean that much in 2025 because you're like, well, I don't even know who that is. But as people who like college football, I think seeing like, oh, hey, interesting. Like Zach Kittley won, National Coach of the Year at Florida. Like that's going to be kind of interesting in like 2030.
And they even put in the screen grabs in the deep dive, Dabo Swinney taking the Alabama job, Timmy Chang going from Hawaii head coach to Arizona State offensive coordinator. I think one time when I was in Orlando, Sharon Moore went from Michigan to the NFL. And by the way, the real coaches, they are rated. They have a prestige just like players have a ranking now. So that's what I want to know. I want to know if the coaches are going to be upset by how they are ranked or what their certain skills are. That could be a little something. I think they had Lane Kiffin as an A+, at least in that screen grab in the deep dive there. So
well, I'm curious how many of the coaches knew that was going to be the case. And once that becomes a thing, like I'm sure there'll be ratings that people will be talking about when this game comes out. And I'm curious if any of this gains enough steam where like a coach, like we get a tweet from some coach who's just like, really, at EA Sports College, like it's one of those things. Yes. I would say that there is a very much a non-zero chance that we get something along those lines.
Yeah. The carousel, I went through it a few times in the beta. I enjoyed it. It's more active. There's more offers. It's kind of more fitting for it supposed to be more fitting for how you were. Obviously, I went from North Texas to Arizona State going 5-7, so that was not right. But they say it's going to be more kind of accurate depending on where your level is. You get alerted for coordinators that leave and stuff like that. So sounds like there's going to be more in that, the carousel. The coaches, you can go into their history. You can see their career record and where they've been and do a lot of stuff. So that's kind of more of the deep immersion. And along those lines, let's talk about the awards.
Well, real quick, I have a question on the coaching carousel. And I hope that they alert. But did you have this experience as well? So I started my dynasty at USF, and then I saw the coaching carousel, but I was just getting ready to start the playoff. And I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen if I take another job before I go into the playoff. So I waited. And then by the end of the season, like all my options were gone because I waited too long.
Which is how it works.
But I didn't know that I had to make my selection because in the old games, it was always like you finish the season and then do the coaching carousel. So I don't know if they do a better job of like alerting people, hey, this specific offer is going to come off the table if you go forward to the next week. But if you want to leave the head coaching job at UCLA to be Arizona State's defensive coordinator, then that's, you could do that anytime that you want. And I think that would be a welcome entry to the coaching carousel in CFB26 for sure.
Yes. Trophy room is back finally. Awards, conference championships, national championships, rivalry trophies, it's all in there. And a cool thing is that you can see the history of all of it. They give you, go national champion, they'll tell you every national champion all the way back to 1896. I think you can check Big Ten champions, Doak Walker awards. So that's kind of like teaching people the history of the game that was missing. That like
UCF fans don't look at the 2017 year.
Yeah, I don't think it had UCF listed as a co-champ in 2017, but like NBA 2K does a great job of like teaching people kind of the history of basketball and football. It's harder because you can't get all the ex players in, but that's like a important little thing. I like the trophy room. When I was a kid playing NCAA, I love just gathering all the rivalry trophies and learning what they were and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool.
Is the last split national champion we had was Michigan, Nebraska in '97, the year before the BCS?
No, 03 USC.
Oh, that's right.
LSU.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be cool.
You made a point about the trophies needing to be better in terms of who they pick.
Yes, I hope. Supposedly they have fixed this. I'm sure it probably couldn't be worse than it was last year. And this is somewhat nitpicky because yes, you want your guys to win awards and do all this stuff, but you also want it to be realistic. And it felt like if my team was good, I was cleaning up in all of the awards in a really weird way. My running back would have like 800 yards, like 12 touchdowns, and he's winning the Doak Walker, but the best running back. The awards are back in the game this year. I think that was some sort of dispute that sort of played out last year. Neither side really wanted to talk a ton about that, but I'm glad they've sort of come together. We've got the real awards in there, the Blitnikoff, the Doak Walker, all that stuff. And hopefully those things have been fixed because I don't know what your experience was in your dynasty, but it was very, very wonky for me last year. And it's one of those things that doesn't affect that much. But if we're talking about immersion and simulation and reality, when I'm winning, when my like defensive back is winning defensive back of the year, and I know he wasn't that good, and he's like an 84 overall, but he has like 6 picks. It's like that would not happen. So
in the beta, I had a North Texas running back have like 25 yards, and he won National Player of the Week. But again, that was the beta. I'm assuming that they say that is fixed, so we'll see. Scheduling. This was a big problem last year.
Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of complaints about it, but I experienced it myself, and it was further down the line in Dynasty. But there was a year when I didn't look like your conference schedule is what your conference schedule is. So I spent a lot of time looking at the custom schedules for non-conference, and if I'm starting a new team, I do want to have like a warm-up game against not an FCS team because it's too easy, but not a very good team, just to kind of feel for my personnel, learn to put my team. I'd rather do that than go into practice mode. I just want to see what I got. And so I pay a lot of attention to that. I don't pay attention to the conference schedule. And I noticed after a while, I was playing a lot of home games, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I looked at my schedule. I had 6 SEC home games and 2 SEC road games, and then the next year it flipped, and I had 6 SEC road games and 2 SEC home games.
This is what the SEC should do in real life, by the way, not 9 conference games. Just
if that happened in real life,
roll the dice of how many games
carrying torches to the SEC offices. But that's supposed to be fixed, so I think that'll be good. I didn't hear a lot of people complaining about that, but I'm sure that I couldn't have been the only one. So
and the playoff got wacky too. Some of the G5s
weird playoff
that get up there. It did get better, I think, with some bug fixes, but that should be better. Protected opponents. Mm-hmm. This was supposed to be in the game last year. They told it to us when we visited. They pulled it at the last second, said it wasn't really working. It's
customizable this year.
Customizable. You can do 1 or 2 protected conference games. It also depends on if you're doing divisions or not. But when I went in, it was like randomized. So this might have just been because it's beta. So when I had to go in and all right, Michigan's going to play Michigan State and Ohio State, you have to click on you click on it, the spot, then you click on the open team that's somewhere else, and then they flip. So you kind of have to like mix and match it. It takes kind of a minute. It's kind of annoying. But if it's better up front and you choose protected schedules and it's automatically the teams you would expect, then I think it should be fine. But that's good. That's important to have. You want to make sure those things happen all the time. So
can you make the SEC play 9 games?
Yeah, you can. You could do it in 25, right? I mean, that was a nice thing, like really customizing that. So you could take out divisions. You could determine where the championship game is, all that stuff. That was in 25, but that was good. That was good here. What else do we want to talk about? We've done coaches. We've done that. Let's talk recruiting now.
Yeah.
This is the big one. This is the main part of Dynasty Mode. And I know you said in our last episode, sometimes you will just skip recruiting and do Dynasty. And we got some people in the comments who didn't like that.
Call me
But
Chip Kelly, baby.
you do some recruiting. And I like the changes they've made here. Biggest one, team needs right at the top of the screen. You don't need to click a button to figure that out. It was just a very like quality of life thing that was a lot better. But they've made it a lot deeper this year. You wrote it in our story, which I forgot to promote at the top of the show. But David and I wrote about this on The Athletic. It's linked in the show notes. You liked how deep recruiting goes.
Yeah, I do. I think they did it in a smart way and figuring out the portal. I would like at some point possibly for there to be some element of tampering in the game where it's a risky thing in the old days. Like if you were going to go, NCAA 08, like if you're going to go out partying or whatever and Road to Glory, well, that's going to hurt you in other places. And you could put your team could get put on probation, all this different stuff. I'd like that to be part of the game.
That is one thing like you could actually do in the old games. Remember that you could like get NCAA penalties, or you could suspend players. That's not, as far as we've seen, that's not still in the new game. But like back in like PS2 NCAA days,
it's very much a part of the game.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I think they're being really smart about it, and in the portal and in the deep dive, obviously with the Dynasty we have limited experience with it, kind of tinker with it. You only had a couple days, but in the deep dive they talked about if you have an 85 overall guard, that's a senior, and you have an 85 overall freshman quarterback. Those should not be equal value in the portal. Their value is going to be gigantic. Obviously, quarterback way more valuable than guard. Obviously, with a freshman, you're going to have upside. You're going to be, 85 overall freshman. That's a 5-star right there. And he could be a 95, 98 overall by the time he's a junior or whatever. And reflecting that in the portal and their portal ratings, to me, I think the biggest thing that I always come back to with this game is that the people who are running it seem to understand college football, care about college football, and listen to college football fans. And these are the little things that anyone who knows college football is going to know. And I think people, when you talk to somebody about college football, I do it in my daily life, or you just interact with people. It takes you about 5 minutes to figure out when people know ball or don't know ball. And I think the things that they have done in this game, the emphasis, what they're trying to do, tells me that you got a bunch of ball knowers on staff trying to make a great college football game. And I think their approach to the portal and recruiting and the depth and all the things that you can do there, I think speak to that. Even as a guy who does not spend a ton of time in recruiting, I kind of pick a couple preferences and then let my assistants get their job done. And then, if I gotta, at the end, if I still got some stuff, then maybe we put a full court press on a couple guys, but that's about it.
That is a job of a head coach pretty much these days.
I'm the closer, man. I'm the closer.
So they say there'll be about 2,000 players in the portal each year. So it's going to be a bigger, deeper portal. Also, when you're doing the settings at the beginning of Dynasty, you can determine the max amount of transfers from your team or for a computer team. So you can, if you want it low or higher, I like that you can customize. You can make the portal more or less busy depending on what you want. Same thing with recruiting. Your needs are up there, so you can just see that right away. I do wonder, and I have thought, if instead of star rating, they just went with overall rating in the portal, because we know the overall rating. We know how good these guys are because they've technically already in the game. But I don't know, that might be just.
I would like to see, and I'm curious if there's any element of this that's reflected in some way. If there's like a Signetti rule in this game, where if you take a job. So let's say I was at USF in my dynasty last year and I go to Minnesota. Yeah. If there is a tractor beam pull of like, well, hey, my quarterback wants to come with me. My running back wants to come with me. I got this edge rusher that's awesome. He wants to come with me. If it's not in this year's game, that might be something for the future, because that is becoming more and more of a thing as you take a new job, kicking guys out, using the rule changes that allow you to do that, and bringing a bunch of new guys in and making the portal a big emphasis. And if you're a sitting head coach who's not making a huge leap like JMU to Indiana, bringing some guys with you that can help you, that would be very attractive to me. If I could say, hey, I've got this quarterback. He's still got 2 years of eligibility. He's like an 89 overall. He's like an 85 speed. I know how to play with him. And I can bring him to my new job. That would be pretty cool.
Something they told us in Orlando, I don't remember if it was in the deep dive, but guys who are in the portal who you recruited, they will remember you.
Yeah. Well, that's real.
Uh,
I like that. I did see
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So it is in the deep dive. Again, it was really long. I skimmed it as best I could. Yeah. So that's, that's like kind of part of it. If they can remember you, theoretically, they should be able to know where the coach goes. But I guess, if you take over a program that fired a coach, maybe they don't want you losing all your best players. That's not very fun, but that is real. So,
Well, if you're coming in though and you're taking a big job and you've had a lot of
yeah.
success, that's not always the case. But
Also,
I think again that really does speak to the ball knowership of the game because again, that's a very real thing. I remember sitting down with Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou a few years ago, and he was talking about all the talent in Kansas City and St. Louis. They don't get all those guys coming out of high school. They got a bunch, but they need to be there if those guys go to Ohio State and it doesn't work out after a year. They're still good players. This happens at programs all over. SMU used to clean up. They still kind of do. Clean up the guys that go to Texas or go to Texas A&M or Oklahoma, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out. And then SMU is sitting there and they're saying, hey, come here. I mean, the number of guys we've seen really thrive and after they came back was big. And that's a huge part of modern day college football. This is a mostly last 10 years thing. And then obviously now with the portal, I mean, it's even more important.
yeah.
But this has been going on for a while.
And along those lines, I like that now the distance a player will impact the cost of a visit. So if a guy's closer, the visit's fewer recruiting points, which is, again, how it emphasizes local recruiting and recruiting in your backyard. That can make some of those G5s who are in Florida or Texas maybe more appealing than some of the others. So that's pretty good. No
bad news for Colorado fans.
Yeah, no creative prospect still, which I'm frustrated. I know a lot of other people are frustrated. That was something pretty much they've got road to glory now, and it seems like that's kind of where they want that to go rather than this, especially because you can't export it to Madden. Still, it'd be nice. Everybody's got a deal breaker. I like that redshirting a guy could impact transferring him. Because remember, there would be some people who would just like gobble up talent and redshirt to keep it there. But now it's not just where you are in the depth chart. Snaps also play a role in if guys want to go or if they want to come to you or where they are. So that's more real. I like that. Just a lot of little things throughout that they've added. The sway in recruiting should be more impactful. I didn't do that a ton last year. Haven't tested it out, but they really hammered us with that. They're like the sway to convince a player that what you've got is actually good or what you've got is actually good for him. That should help. So that's good.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, listen, I'm not a huge recruiting guy, but there's a lot of people that are. I respect the people that want to play the game that way. And I think ultimately they're building the game to satisfy those people. We've talked about this over the last couple of years that this game has always been a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I dabble in a lot. I do Dynasty. I'll usually do like one or two Road to Glories. I think it's fun, but I don't make like a year of it. And then online is a huge part of that as well. And it seems like they're doing a good job of trying to serve all of those different masters within the fan base because it's not one, this isn't whatever
the game isn't
or whatever. The game is not one thing to one, monolith of people. It's a big game with a lot of different game modes that are all fulfilling in a lot of different ways. And it's hard to do that. And I feel like they've added something for everybody.
That like the coach archetypes or the coach skills or even the player skills in that type of stuff. I don't really care about that as much. I would rather just, how's my team doing? Are we winning? Are we recruiting well? Where are we going? As opposed to a specific player. But some people really like that. And that's why they wrote 13,000 words in the deep dive, because there's been some negativity on social media around the game. People upset that certain things aren't better
Wait a minute.
or bigger.
There's
whatever.
You said there's negativity on social media?
Yeah.
Not my social media. What are we talking about? Negativity. People on social media being angry. Who knew?
And people saying other people who are either partnered with EA Sports or got invited to go there are being overly positive about the game. I think we were all upfront last year. We were like, this is a game that's a lot of fun. They got the main things right. It's not complete. We knew coming into this year, that there were kind of some big holes they needed to fill. And I think they filled those holes. Now, maybe they didn't fill them all the way. There are certain things we wish we could still do. We've talked about them on the show. But overall, this looks like another step forward. Now, when we get to year 4 and 5 of the game, then you're kind of running out of things to do. Who knows what happens? We don't want it to go down the road of Madden, but they know what works and what doesn't work in the game, and they're trying to fix that. And I think that's
I think so. And there's going to be a lot to this. I'm excited for it. We mentioned the interception stuff. They're trying to not have a broken game. I stopped playing Madden. Dude, I was very displeased with the old Madden. I played Madden for 3 or 4 years because there was no college football game. And I was like, I need something to scratch that itch. And it was okay for a little while, but I was like, this game is broken. I did not feel that way about CFB25. And it's not just because it was a college game. I felt like it was a better game. And I think 26 is headed along those paths.
And a big thing for us, cross-play Dynasty. Dynasty mode is now Xbox and PS5. We're going to try to do something maybe with some of our other sports writer friends to do something. Maybe we'll try to stream it on the YouTube channel.
We messed with streaming last year, and we don't know what we're doing. So.
We tried. It wasn't going great. So we'll
Chris
see.
And I are journalists. We're not streamers, so we got to figure this stuff out. But
we can.
I suspect that cross-play Dynasty, if we can do it right in all of our lives, because we're all old and busy and all that stuff, I suspect that might be a thing that we didn't know how badly we missed it in year 1.
Yes. Real quick, Team Builder. They also had that at the end of the long document. I didn't do Team Builder much last year because
I've never been a Team Builder guy. I've seen people make kind of cool schools, but it's not for me.
Every time I tried to do it, it was just laggy and buggy, and they knew it wasn't great. I couldn't get much going on there. Other people did. I think the Southland Conference made their whole conference, and they made everybody able to download it, which is cool. I just personally had trouble with it. Looks like it should be better this year. There's some generic stadiums. You can import your team from CFB25. There's more you can do on the rosters, editing, and such like that.
There's people that do that. I'm intrigued by. This is why humans are interesting. Not to get philosophical here. Something's got to be wired in people's brains differently. It's like the people. I play a lot of PGA 2K, and the people that spend hours upon hours upon hours building these perfect courses that are replicas of other courses or creating these really intricate courses. Just that's a way to play the game for them. I don't understand that at all. And I'm sure they don't understand how I can't appreciate spending all this time to build a school and create a custom stadium and do a logo and do all this different stuff. I don't really get that part of the game, but I appreciate the people that do. And I think they can add something to the game. And I like seeing the cool created schools. So I like that option being there. So.
Ultimate Team, it's not my thing. It's not the thing for a lot of people our age, but the numbers for young people that they get on Ultimate Team are crazy. It is absolutely working. The microtransactions, the teams that are just kind of mishmash for players all over the country. Young kids like that. They're not as attached to specific teams and whatnot. So, that's just their thing. And EA's trying to, again, create a game for a lot of different people who want a lot of different things. So anything else on Dynasty we wanted to hit on?
No, I'm excited for this game. We're a couple weeks out here. It's going to be great. I may have to take some vacation to play a little bit more. I don't recommend having 2 small children and trying to play this video game. It saps some of your hours, but I'm very excited to have it, play some of the new stuff. The beta got me really excited, and I think we are cruising for it. And I don't think there's a way you can get this game and not feel like it's an improvement off of last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised if that's what.
That's ultimately the question. Is it worth a $70 to $90 expense to upgrade to the next year? That's the question everybody has to ask. And we've laid out a lot of these things. That's ultimately up to you. For some people, it will be. For some people, it won't be. I think for most people, it will be. Like I said, last year was a good game, and they've improved on it in most ways. Again, we haven't played the full game. We'll have the full review once we do that. Again, I mentioned on the last episode, quarterback accuracy was a big problem in the beta, but that was an old version. So we'll see if that's fixed at the end. So we'll find out that. I don't think we're going to have a Road to Glory episode. Neither of us have played that, but the
Mm-mm.
embargo for that is up soon. I think pretty much the next thing for us on the game would be the review in early July, probably. So we will be back later this week. I think on Thursday we'll have a college football referee on the show.
Beef ref.
Send us questions on bunchformationpod@gmail.com or Twitter, bunchformationp, or either of us on social media. Any questions you have for a referee? What's it like to be a referee? What's like the state of the game for them? I wrote a big story in The Athletic last week. Please check that out. We're going to have one of them on to continue to talk about it because I find this stuff interesting. It's also the middle of June. Nothing's going on. Pac-12 is not really doing much yet. So we want to just kind of have some fun. So
leave us a 5-star review. We love hearing from you guys.
Please leave us a 5-star review. We'll read those on future editions of the show. We're just trying some things out. We're a month or so into this show, trying some things, see what works, what doesn't. We're doing some more video game stuff because people have responded to that early on.
Yeah.
So
and Chris and I play the game. We love the game. It's not the excitement is obviously muted from a year ago because it hasn't been 11 years since we've had a game. But I forgot how exciting it is to have a game every single year. You know, from 2002 to 14, I'm pretty sure I bought that game at midnight at Walmart every single year, except I was studying abroad one year and I had to wait like a month, and it was torture. So,
So, hope everybody enjoyed this kind of mini episode. Again, subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends, YouTube, like, all that stuff. It really means a lot to us. And yeah, that'll do it here. For David Ubben, I'm Chris Vanini. We will talk to you later this week. See ya.